Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show on Newstalk 780 KOH. It's a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to be with my partner, Jason Gott Sanchez, Gott Capital Management. Name's right in the last name's right in the name. I mean, it just flows. It just
Just tough to
flows.
spell. Tough to spell.
It is amazing how many people have a hard time spelling.
It
I
is
know.
surprising. We
Yeah.
talked about it before. They're like GU. I'm like, no, no. I told there were certain restaurants that when we would go to as a kid, my dad would always say Grant because they could pronounce it better instead
Interesting. That
of
makes
that.
sense. Yeah. See, you just need a common name like Sanchez, and it's
Right.
like Smith
Seriously.
in
Right.
Spanish. Everybody knows it, man. Everybody knows it. All right, my friend. Well, let's have some fun here. All right, let me tell you what Jason and I have lined up for you. We had some big earnings numbers coming out of Cisco today, right after the close. We want to tell you what that stock's doing in the after hours, maybe help us out a little bit. Give you an update, of course, on the government shutdown, which, I'll just do that right now. We don't know anything. The vote's expected here in about an hour. It's p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the House is supposed to vote. So we'll see about that. But I do want to cover one thing when we get to that subject, Jay, and that is why the market didn't get more excited about it. And I brought this up on one of the stock updates this morning with Ross Mitchell. And I said, as you and I always talk about, the market is a forward looking indicator. It's already predicted that the government's going to reopen. So they're not going to get excited, if and when it actually does happen, right? At least that's kind of the way things transpired today. So we'll touch on that. But here's the fun topic we're going to get into this afternoon. One of the biggest hidden risks, as we like to call it, in any relationship is when only one partner knows the finances.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, let me tell you, we deal with this all the time. What happens when that partner becomes ill? What happens when that partner passes away? What happens if they get a divorce? Whatever the case may be, all of a sudden, financial chaos erupts, right? We deal this a lot with clients when a spouse passes away. Usually it's the man and the wife is left and, she was never part of the finances. As much as we preach that a spouse needs to be involved, for whatever reason, she wasn't. And so not only is she left with the loss of her loved one, her beloved husband of many, many years, but now she's got this financial burden that is dumped upon her.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do this afternoon is talk about why it is so important that both partners, both of you, are empowered, informed, and most importantly, financial secured together. Not one, not the other, but together. And so we've compiled some really important steps that we feel will help you get through this if and when that time ever happens. Maybe you're going through it right now. But Jason, it is, again, such a common problem because when we kind of use the word separation, again, it can be so many different things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I said, death, divorce, whatever the case may be, or as we deal with a lot, mental incapacitation, right? When one spouse was always handling everything and, maybe Alzheimer's starting to set in or dementia or something along those lines. Regardless of what it is, that financial burden is dumped on the spouse that usually does not have the knowledge, and not because they're stupid by any means, but because they never got involved in the family finances. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen, to those listening this afternoon.
Yeah, what I find more often than not is it's the person who doesn't do the finances. It's because it's a source of anxiety for that partner,
True.
right? And that makes it even more of an issue when the other partner passes away or there's a divorce, et cetera. Uh, I mean, I've seen this. The blame game kicks in. Well, she used to do all the finances,
Yes.
and I wouldn't have done this, and it becomes more of a he said, she said. Where even just for healthy marriages, it's good to make sure that yes, we have roles, but ultimately the other person is aware of what's going on, the decision making process, and you don't feel out of the loop. It's just the normal sharing. But it's an anxiety. If maybe he isn't comfortable with money, or it causes him sort of angst or worries about things too much, so it tends to fall to her, or vice versa. It's pretty even. Like, I find just as many times where the
Sure.
man's
That's right.
the pocketbook holder, or the woman is, it's fairly even. But in all cases, if the one who was in charge of it passes away, the remaining one tends to be a little, certainly concerned or confused as to how the whole mix works. And a lot of respect comes from it too. We're like,
Yeah.
wow,
Well,
she
I'll
did a
tell
lot.
you. Yeah. When you said it's kind of evenly split between the man and the woman, I think I'm going to disagree with you on that. At least in the most recent ones I'm thinking back on, it was the woman that was handling the family finances. Most men, especially in the older generation, A lot of them don't have a clue, right? From day one in that, 60, 70-year marriage, the wife handled everything. And if she passes away, the man is, completely at a loss. Now, let's reverse roles. If the man passes away and he was handling finances, I find that the women, because women tend to be smarter than us men, they can adapt a lot
Agree.
more. You agree with that too?
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
agree with that part because
yeah.
you know, the
The
men
men are
come
terrible.
in, they have no idea how to feed themselves
No,
or
not at
dress
all.
themselves, or
Nope, not a clue. Not a clue. No, you're absolutely
if
right.
they weren't doing the finances, it's pretty difficult
Yep.
in general, but
Yep.
we laugh about it, but it is mentioned when John came up with this topic earlier. This is one I like a lot normally. Just, always helpful to have these conversations. We try to educate everyone on the show. John does such a great job of educating all the listeners on these types of things. And a lot of these are things you hear us talk about all the time, but it is important to
It is.
talk to your
Some
spouse about them.
something we're all going to deal with.
Yeah.
Every single one of you, if you have a spouse in your life, you're going to be dealing with this at some point. So let me just real quickly, and then we'll move on. And thank you for the compliment. Well, here's what we're going to kind of discuss. We got again a bunch of points we're going to run through with you, but I want to just give you an idea how deep we're going to get with this thing. So we'll talk about why one-sided financial control creates serious risk, both in life and in the relationship. We'll give you guys some real examples that we go through. I think that's one of the best ways to learn. We'll talk about transparency through communications, some practical steps. Okay, so now we've outlined the problem, but we always like to give you a solution. So we'll talk about what we call shared access and systems. We're going to get a little emotional with you. We're going to have you go on a money date with your spouse.
Ooh.
That's right. And then something that is very much overlooked in the estate planning process and in life, the old financial binder, or more importantly, the digital vault. Oh, yeah. Think about this for a second, folks. You die tomorrow. Do you know all the passwords and everything to get into your wife's account? What if she's doing all the bills? Do you know how to get into your bank account? I just dealt with this with my ex stepmom. Right, my dad died, as everybody knows. She had no clue how to get into her into the bank accounts. No clue. Even he left her again passwords and all that. She had no clue how to do it. She'd been out of touch too long. So, give you some stories on that, and then also, we want to try to touch on understanding the investment and the insurance side, right? The insurance is really, really important. And then how we as advisors help our clients overcome all these challenges. So a lot of great stuff that I promise you're going to walk away and going, holy moly, I never thought about that. So with that said, let's get down to business, Jay. Let's talk about this stock market activity. Boy, Dow, another strong one today.
Yeah.
Another record close up 326. But there were some intermittent periods where it didn't quite look like it was going to be that way. And just like yesterday, Dow was up, NASDAQ was down. Take it away.
Yeah, there's a rotation, right, towards quality right now, right? Why the Dow tends to pick up its head a little bit. You've got industrials, you've got healthcare, you've got financials. Those areas are doing quite well as people are rotating away from a winner, which was sort of high-end, high beta technology, AI trade sensitive things. Meta was down another almost 3% today. Google down 1.5%. Amazon, Tesla. So see that rotation happening underneath the curve, which is a good thing, right? Not everything's moving down together. I like it when the Dow is up, and if the market has to be down.
Wait.
Yeah. I do, yes. I love when all 30 stocks do. It's like my friend called me the other day from New England and said, sort of 49er joke saying how well they looked during a certain drive. And I said, who are these 49ers you're speaking of? I'm a Patriots fan now. They're 8-2. But no, it's healthy to have this rotation where on the flip side,
Yes.
Lilly, banks, United Healthcare, the market is moving to other areas that they think have some either defensive characteristics or growth potential. And that is very symptomatic of a move after a big run. And I think airlines were strong. So it wasn't a sense that the consumer was melting down. Airline could be just because of the government getting back open and the people's fears of the reduction in flights may wane a bit. But there's lots of things going on overall. Thoughts of maybe we'll get some data here soon that could read somewhat bearishly, which could continue to have the Fed on the rate cut path. But overall, not a scary day with tech down, especially given some of the more quality areas of the market held up.
Absolutely. Why don't you tackle the Cisco numbers real quick? I'll tell you, first of all, there were good numbers, folks. Let me share what the stock's doing after hours, and then Jason can get into the numbers. And then after the break, we'll come back and hit some of the big movers today and then get into our topic. Cisco today, remember, folks, Dow component, $73.96 close, up $2.25, about 3.14%. Right now in the after hours session, it's at $79.42 a share, a $5.46 gain, 7.38%. So very, very strong numbers. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers were good. I think people were somewhat cautious into it, especially given the stocks now at back to all-time highs. They're going to be sensitive to the data center build out, switches and networking and so on and so forth. And they've been a bit of a dark horse. The stock had been underappreciated and is starting to be reappreciated. Their guidance looked good for the second quarter. Look like they're guiding to a $1.01 to a $1.03 versus the street at 98 cents and revenue north of 15 billion, and the street was at 14 and a half. So they're not one to go out and overpromise.
Yes.
And I think from that
Glad you brought that
standpoint, even conservative guidance is better than where the street's at. You may see continue folks chasing Cisco because it hasn't done quite as much as the others have. One part along those lines, you've seen weakness in Oracle over the last certainly several weeks.
Yes.
But more concern today around some of the debt in AI sensitive names. CDS, which is the credit default swaps, were perking up a little bit in terms of people worried about Oracle's debt. I think it's more smoke than fire, but you're starting to hear a bit more of that. So maybe some rotation out of there as well.
Yeah. Worries about debt, CDS swaps, the whole 9 yards, cockroach theory. Where there's one, there's many more.
Michael
Burns, the Big Short. Yeah, we'll leave it there. But yeah, this is one of those days concerned about tech, and yeah, pretty big losses, as we'll share with you, dollar wise, not percentage wise, some of these big tech names. So yeah, it's just amazing. We have this, teeter totter back and forth. One day the world loves tech, and the next day it hates it. Today was the day it hates it. So, but what we've seen in the past is those days tend to be some pretty good buying opportunities. So hopefully you took a little bit of advantage of it today. I know you did, Jay. All right, my friend, let's take this break. We'll come back. Let's turn it over to Kristen Snow, my wonderful friend in the Right Now Traffic Center. How are you, best friend? Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Jason Gaunt. All right, as we said, it was a record-setting day for the Dow with a close of 326-point gain, 0.68%, finishing at 48,254. Lost 61, or about 0.25% on the NASDAQ, closing at 23,406. S&P up 4 points, closing at 6,850. Rough day for oil. Going to feel good at the pump if it holds. $2.52 loss, $58.50 a barrel. OPEC playing around with some production numbers and outlooks and things was the culprit there. Strong day for gold, Jay. $97 gain. We're getting back up there again. 4,213. Any comments on that one?
I think that's the reopening, right? Inflation thought with economy potentially getting back humming again. But that's just my conjecture more than anything else.
Sure. Okay, very good. And once again, bond market down 4 basis points at a yield close of 4.07% after being closed yesterday. All right, once again, we're going to get on our topic. When only one knows the hidden financial risk in your relationship. You're not communicating about money, spouse dies, you're left trying to figure out what to do. We're going to help you get through that. We'll tackle that when we get back here in a moment. But first, let's go to some of the big movers. As we mentioned through Jason's summary of the market, let's kind of hit some of the big news, individual names. So start off with Advanced Micro Devices. Big move on this one, up $21.37, 9% gain, closing at $258.89. They had a big financial analyst day yesterday. A company projected $100 billion in data center revenue over the next 3 to 5 years, and they expect a $1 trillion total addressable AI market by the year 2030. Think about that. Those numbers, just amazing.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
NVIDIA today, 64-cent gain, quiet, 193.80. Let's see. Microsoft, it was down earlier this morning when I did my local report. Finished the day up slightly, $2.46 rise, 511.14. But Meta, down $18.07, 2.88% loss, 609.01. Google down $4.31, about a 1.48% finish at 287.43. Amazon down $4.90. Tesla down another day, $9.02. Let's see. Eli Lilly, as Jason was mentioning, the healthcare was a strong sector today. The group is up about 1.4%. Lilly, a big contributor to that, 2.95% rise, up $29.16 to $1,017.78. UNH, United Health, helped the Dow out with a 3.5% rise, up $11.61. And if you're wondering where the CEOs of your bank are at this evening, I can probably tell you with very good accuracy. They're having dinner with the president. That's right. The president is dining this evening with JP Morgan Chase's CEO, Jamie Dimon, other top financial executives, so on and so forth. Don't know what they're meeting about.
Larry Culp. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a who's who there. You mentioned airlines did well, again, on the anticipation of the government opening. Delta is an example at 4.73%, $2.73 rise to 60.47. Southwest up about 4.28%. All right, let's talk a little bit about the government shutdown issue, bring you up to date if you were hard at work today and get a chance to hear. But before I get to that, I want to mention something that we learned. The market really didn't have much negative reaction, Jay. I thought, oh boy, when this news came across the wires, it was going to hit it, but market breasted aside. We had White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. She said that the October jobs and CPI report will likely never be released. Let me repeat that. October jobs and CPI may never be released due to the government shutdown. And added that fourth quarter GDP will likely be 200 basis points, that's 2%, lower due to the shutdown. Not good news there. Let's see. Hassett, Kevin Hassett, of course, the National Economic Council advisor, said he believes rate cuts could be a lot lower in regards to the Fed and so on and so forth. And like I said, on the government shutdown side of things, the House is supposed to vote on it. Mike Johnson said today, very confident that they'll get the vote. And then you sit back and go, okay, so what was really accomplished? Not a damn thing. They're kicking the can down the road to, I think, January 30th is the latest indication. So that didn't accomplish anything. But the icing on the cake today, Jason, as all these people, have lost their SNAP benefits, have been put out of work. There was a phenomenal article today. I didn't get a chance to even tell you. Wall Street Journal citing the amount of auto delinquencies now. I want to put this in perspective from an old repo guy, meaning me. Okay. Let me see if I can see if the story is just real quickly still there. Looks like they moved it. Anyways, auto delinquencies now, Jason, 6.3%. It was over 6% delinquent. Let me put this in perspective. Late 80s, when I worked for GMAC, repo and cars and doing collections, we had our butts chewed out by management. If we were like above 0.3, 0.4, right around there, not even a full 0.5%, they lost it. I can't imagine now with delinquencies due to the strain on the consumer over 6%. Mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, it's just a case that credit gets too easy sometimes, right? And
Yep.
that's the
Absolutely.
thing that people start to default on first, especially a
Mhm.
depreciating asset, which is
That's
an
right.
automobile. So
That's right. Exactly.
it's
And then the final
not
little
good.
fun tidbit I have for you is in this bill that they're voting on here in about a half hour or so. Jason, there's a little provision in this bill that says members of Congress can now be reimbursed up to $500,000 each for security protection. Isn't that a great use of funds when people are going hungry and out of work? And $500,000 they're going to give themselves. $500,000 each, not for the whole group of senators. Each.
I mean, you got to have a good security detail,
Do you
right?
really?
Well, I mean, if you don't do your job at all and you're terrible at it, and
Yeah.
then you get
Yeah. Then
paid,
you
yeah,
really
you
need
need
it.
someone to protect you, I guess, at some
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
right?
it's at the taxpayer's expense. Exactly. The joys of Washington. So we will see. But real quick before we go to break, again, as we said at the beginning of the show, love to get your take on it too. I just think that it's a basically a foregone conclusion. This government's going to open back up. We'll say in the next 24 hours, whatever it may be. I don't think it's going to be that big of an event. I mean, yes, it's going to be nice to finally get our hands on some economic data and things, but as far as a big market rally, I don't see anything major happening with it. Do you?
No, I mean, unless they open up and say that they're going to give $1 trillion to
Right.
OpenAI or something, probably not.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the sensitivity at this point, right?
Yeah. Not at all.
Bad data
I
could
think yes.
get us the rates lower, but
Yeah.
you know, we'll see.
I think yesterday was the day that big 500 plus point rally on the Dow yesterday. I think that was a lot of pent up demand. We came off the weekend, and when we learned that things were going pretty well as far as the government reopening and stuff, and back on Monday and then Sunday, etc. So yeah, I think that train's left at this point. So all right, when we come back, let's get down to business, folks. Let's talk about once again when only one knows. We're talking about the family finances. What are some of the risks? What are some of the things that happen? What are the solutions? We'll cover that. First, Jack Saban has news, traffic, and weather. Hey, Jack. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Jason Gunn. Once again, a 326 record close on the Dow at 48,254. Nasdaq lost 62 and the S&P higher by 4. All right. And we're going to get into a topic that all of us at some point in our life will most likely deal with, and that is the loss of a loved one. We're getting into the issue that Jason and I and other financial advisors deal with all the time. And I know many of you probably have dealt with this either in your own life or friends, family. And that is when one spouse controls the family finances and that spouse is no longer with you. Again, death, divorce, whatever the case may be. And you are left trying to unwind the financial burden and puzzle that was left for you. So we're going to run through these points. We're going to give you solutions. Here we go. Now, first one, Jason, is really the main one. I'll cover this one, which is, if you look at it this way, a one-sided financial life, meaning one-sided financial control, really creates a serious amount of risk. So what we look at, of course, and we deal with is this. One spouse handles everything. They pay the bills. They monitor the investments. Know what's in the bank accounts, where the bank accounts are. Insurance. Do we have life insurance? Do we not? Social security benefits, etc. They do it all. They're what we like to call the family CFO. But then all of a sudden, that person dies or they become incapacitated, right? It's not always death. Like I said earlier, they could start losing their mental faculties due to dementia or Alzheimer's, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, all of the responsibility of being the family CFO goes to the surviving partner. And they most likely have no idea how to do this. They don't have any idea how to access the money. They don't have any ideas how to pay bills. And again, it's not just emotional chaos, it's financial paralysis. I'm going to jump real quickly, Jason, to a story, and then I want to hear if you have any. Just dealt with this with a family friend, what's it been now, 4 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
Long haul truck driver, never was home. All the man did is work. And his wife stayed at home. She worked, but she also did everything, handled all the family finances. She wakes up. This is about, like I said, about 4 months ago. She wakes up. He's on the road. He's way back east, 3 or 4 days drive away. She wakes up. She stumbles down the hallway. She collapses. Their teenage daughter found her, rushed her to the hospital, brain aneurysm. Roughly a week later, she's dead.
Yeah.
He has to come back and figure out. He literally did not know. And not an old man, we're talking early 60s, literally did not know how to write a check, had no idea what the bills were, no idea what they owed on credit cards, the balances, and the icing on the cake was he had no idea that she had taken out, unbeknownst to him, forged his signature, a home equity line of credit for about $100,000 that he is now responsible for. He had no idea how much life insurance there was, zero, zero, zero. So now the man just lost his life, his love of his life, and now he's trying to figure things out, what to do financially. So I stepped in, gave some advice and so on and so forth. But that was my most recent scenario. Do you have any stories that come to life with friends, family, clients that stand out?
I mean, mine sort of a sidebar, where husband and wife, husband basically ended up racking up hundreds of thousands of dollars of gambling debt and basically liquidating their portfolios to pay for it without her knowing. Yes, that led to a divorce. Wasn't a friend of mine, but a very good friend of a friend of mine. But I think both of these stories, we'll highlight, and all these doesn't mean that one person shouldn't do it. Like, ultimately somebody enjoys it.
Mhm.
Again, personal story, literally this morning, sitting in bed, I'm on my laptop updating Quicken, because guess what, folks? I truly do eat my own cooking. I like doing this stuff.
What time of the morning was this?
Like 4:00, 4:15 probably. And my wife looks over at me and she's like,
You're sick.
doesn't that give you like anxiety doing that? This is her exact words. And I'm like, no. It's ironically the flip side. I enjoy it. It's a feeling of process and progress. And, but
Control.
with everybody, someone is going to end up doing it. I think that as we go through these bullet points, you just need to be making sure that your spouse or partner is aware and understands sort of what the plan is and what you guys are doing together. So I think that's a major takeaway for everybody.
Right. And we'll cover that point number 4. You're absolutely right. All right. Well, I thought I knew you well, but I didn't know you sit up at 4:00 in bed in the morning. Do you at least have a cup of coffee?
Or 15.
4:50. Do you at least have a cup of coffee next to you?
I did, yeah. Yeah. So I guess it was 4:20 because our coffee maker starts at 4:10. So it was around 4:20. But yeah.
Another 5 minutes.
It's not every day. It just happened to be today.
Okay. All right. Says the man who sends his partner texts at 2:00 in the morning sometimes, or email responses at 1:30 sometimes.
And that's because I waited. Yeah, right. Exactly.
I know they weren't scheduled. I know they were sent at those times. All right. Again, we could all share stories. We could spend hours talking about different stories we've dealt with our clients, but you get the picture. And one final point I'll mention on this one, Jason, and that is What I tend to see, and I think you agree, is the longer a couple has been married, the more they start moving in opposite directions on the finances, right? Because obviously you trust them. Hey, and I hear this all the time. You know what? My wife pays the bills. She's got everything handled. I've got great credit. I hand her my paycheck. If they're still working, I just gave her my paycheck. I don't even know. I mean, that when we ask them, how much money do you make? And he's like, honey, how much money did I make last year? So, and again, the longer you're married, younger couples don't tend to have this problem. The younger generation is definitely much more, my stuff, your stuff, our stuff type of thing. Okay, so let's go to our third point now. Building the financial transparency through the number one reason that people get a divorce or they stay together. Either they have communication or they don't. So how do we build financial transparency through communication? So we're going to use a real sexy word here. We're going to call this financial intimacy. That's right, financial intimacy. Very important, probably as, if not more important, than emotional intimacy with your spouse. What do we mean by financial intimacy?
So like this where you throw money on the bed? Is that?
Yeah, you could do that. Throw some rose petals, throw some money on there, and talk
financial
about
intimacy,
the personal balance sheet. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
See, you can have fun anytime you want.
I can do this.
Yep, there you go. See, I knew you liked the strategy. So with financial intimacy, what we do is we encourage couples to have open, judgment-free, let me repeat that 4 times, judgment-free money conversations. How much do we have? Where is it? What are our goals? Who in the heck are our advisors? Because you see what happens, folks, is when people and couples start to share this information, they create stability, and most importantly, communication, they create trust. Nothing is worse. Have any of you ever been in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, or God forbid, husband, wife, where you did not have financial trust in your spouse? Nothing is worse. It's like having trust that they're going to go sleep around on you or cheat on you or whatever the case is. Financial trust is probably even worse than again, thinking your spouse is cheating on you. Very, very important, but it's so easy to solve. Again, just by having the open communication. I'm going to squeeze in number 4, Jason, number 5, while we're on this subject. And this is, I love this term you came up with, the money date concept. Actually, I'm not going to steal your thunder. Explain the money date concept. This is really good.
I just thought, where you sort of sit down and this can be as nerdy as you want it, but to have something once a month where you guys can discuss, or even once a quarter, where you go through, see any passwords on financial accounts have changed or anything, where you can write down any thoughts on upcoming expenses or trips or anything like that, just at least so you're collaboratively budgeting, right? I mean, you mentioned earlier who's our advisor, right? And I think that's something that's important too.
It is.
I often say, John often says, unfortunately, fortunately, we deal with folks passing away here all the time, right? So having someone who knows your family situation that isn't your spouse is always a good thing too, that they can fall back on when times are tough and you're going through a stressful time. But that money date concept is just to communicate around the goals and the dreams. It tends to move in all kinds of different directions.
But you're being too kind. I mean, folks, this is like, again, money date, right? 2 things. We're talking about money and we're having a date. You put this on your calendar, whether it's once a week. We have some clients that do this weekly. We have some that do it monthly, semi-annually. I think at least monthly. And again, you go, okay, on the 5th of the month, Wednesday, the first Wednesday of every month, we're going out to dinner, or hey, we're going to have a nice dinner at home, glass of wine, sit back, relax, and open up. How often have you talked to your spouse about money, your dreams, your goals, your fears? Folks, we've had situations where we've uncovered with clients, you'll have a husband and wife sitting together. You'll get, like, when we start talking about risk tolerance, right, Jason? Like one spouse will say, like the wife, wife says, man, I am really conservative. I can't stand any loss. The husband's like, let's, put it all on red and go for it. And we dig a little bit deeper, come to find out the husband doesn't even know. The wife was raised by grandparents who are Depression era people, right? That value was transpired into her. Husband didn't even know. See that all the time. That's why you have to have that communication and that money date concept. Now, once we have all this, where are we going to put it all? We'll cover that in point 6. Let's wrap it up with Kristen Snow in the Right Now Traffic Center. Kristen. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. As a quick reminder, if you missed any of our shows, by all means, please pick up our podcast at your favorite podcasting company. News just a few moments ago, the House of Rep has headed towards a vote. They passed it on the procedural side. Trump said he's going to sign the bill. So again, the security of the passage of the bills is expected to occur between now 7 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, at around 20 minutes or so our time. They had an hour-long comment period on the continuing resolution to fund the government that had begun. So we will see. We will see. All right, we're talking about, once again, when only one knows, when one spouse knows everything about the financial life of you as a couple, and they are gone. They're out of the picture. So 2 final points we want to mention. Number 1, how do we keep track of everything? Well, again, we've told you to have the date night and the financial intimacy and all that stuff, right? Create a financial binder, or better yet, a digital vault. You see, every single one of you should have a central location, whether it's physical, digital, or both, that include things like account lists, all right, my bank account, my brokerage account numbers, everything there. My contact information for my advisors, your insurance, your CPA, your legal, your financial, every advisor, name, phone number, addresses should be there. Copies of insurance policies. Can't tell you, like that story I mentioned about a minute ago. He didn't know if there was any life insurance on her. Turned out, luckily she did. He didn't know. We run across that. Make a photocopy of your insurance policy. Put it in this notebook or in your vault. Passwords. Oh my gosh. Living Trust nowadays, they actually have a section in there regarding storing and who can access, for example, a trustee, if they can access your digital passwords, right? You have passwords to everything now, from social media, your bank accounts, etc. Got to write those down. Spouses don't know a lot of times. And then again, the trust documents, that should be part of your notebook. So if one partner is gone tomorrow, the other should be able to absolutely pick up the financial ball and run with it down the field. It's the easiest way to do it. And again, I'll leave it up to you whether you want to do a financial binder, digital vault, whatever it is, or a combination. But bottom line, record it, share it, tell, and not just tell your spouse. Tell, maybe your children, whoever you trust in your life, where that information is, because God forbid if you and the spouse pass away. All right, Jason, wrap us up on number 8.
I think just real quick, if you're having a tough time getting any of this to happen, having an advisor involved is helpful too, right? We do this. I do some financial matchmaking in almost every meeting that I have. Sometimes having an intermediary, someone who can explain the things that are important, reach out and take a look, see if an advisor fits for you. But certainly something that makes sense to at least explore as you guys are building this out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like anything, folks. It's hard to do on your own. Yeah. You need that objective third party, right? Meaning us or another financial advisor to help you out on that side of it. So it works. It really does. If you want to reach out to us, just give us a call at the office, 775-800-1801, 775-800-1801. Online, of course, at Sanchez Gaunt, Gaunt. You can make an appointment right there, virtual or in person. We'd love to sit down and chat with you about making sure that what only one knows, now we're going to make sure more know about it. No more guesswork. No more wondering where everything is. Your financial life will get dialed in. That was a lot of fun, Jason. Great job as always. I appreciate all of you joining us. We will be back with you tomorrow on the Jon Sanchez Show. God bless and have a great afternoon.